How dare you!
Excuse. Oh boy! Oh boy!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Shooting Straight, Living Life in Truth. I'm Charles, your host for the evening. Tonight we're going to be discussing good communication. Why am I discussing that tonight? Well, it's an important topic, and unfortunately in society it seems to be one that a skill that we're lacking, especially with the onset of social media and various online type deals. We've kind of lost that ability to communicate with each other well, um, even at an individual level, not just at a societal level either. But so I thought I'd go over some of that stuff tonight. I'm going to keep it basic. I'm going to keep it simple because good communication can be a complicated topic, depending on how deep into it you want to go. Uh, but tonight, I'm just going to keep it simple. And I want to start by saying that there are three elements to good communication. And if any of those three elements are missing, then you're not going to have good communication. And those elements are basically the sender, the message, and the receiver. So the first thing that I want to talk about tonight is the element of the sender and what that responsibility is. The sender's responsibility is actually creating the message. In other words, they're the ones that come up with the ideas, the concepts, the verbiage uh, to communicate to someone else. Um, it gets birthed in them. And part of their responsibility is being able to create a message that is clear enough for a receiver to understand it. All right. So it begins with the sender creating a solid message that communicates well or will communicate well and explaining or describing the concept and the idea in such a way that it creates a clear message. So let's talk about that message. That message is the second element of good communication. The message needs to contain who, what, where, when, why, and how for it to really be clear and for it to be understood. Now, obviously, it can get interesting when you start getting into philosophical conversations or deep thinking type conversations with people. But again, it still comes back to those basic essentials: the who, what, where, why, when, and how. Um, and these are all things that we basically learn in grade school, but for some reason in modern society, we seem to have forgotten how to implement them in our communication with people. Uh, which brings me to the third element of good communication, and that's the element of the receiver. Obviously, the receiver has to be tuned in and it has to be prepared in order to receive a message. Like in the military, when we would communicate over the radios, there were some words that wouldn't communicate well over the radio or wouldn't be received well over the radio, even if those we were tuned into the same frequencies and everything was the way it was supposed to be. Some words were just hard to understand, which is why we came up with the phonetic alphabet. And the phonetic alphabet helps us to spell out, pardon me, spell out words or spell out abbreviations that would communicate those words that would be difficult to understand over the radio. All that is part of reception, all right, and being the receiver. And that means that a lot of times as a receiver, things can cloud our ability to receive. In other words, they can create static. Um, and the kind of static that I'm talking about are like life experiences, exposure, opportunities, um, create these kind of filters that we have in our ability to listen and hear and understand someone else's message. And I say all that because many times in the communicating process, the breakdown comes at the point of reception. And because a communicator could put together a good message, the sender can put together a good message, but because of the filters that are on the receiver may not receive that message as it was intended and as it was designed, which obviously, as you can see, can create some problems. Which brings me to my fourth point tonight for good communication, which is that honest communication combined with good communication erases the existence of misunderstandings and eliminates the creation of division among us. But the thing with all of this is like we discussed last week with honest communication, you have to honestly listen as well as listen. You know, it's not just enough to listen and hear with your ear. You also have to understand, listen and hear and the intent of the message. And in order to do that, you have to put aside any filters that you have. If you have any questions, you need to ask those questions. You know, it, you you can't have uh, you can't have honest communication and you can't have good communication without both working together. It's almost like a hand in hand type thing, you know, salt and pepper, you know, all those kind of analogies that I could use for that. But you got to have both. Um, you know, it, everyday life, for example, right? Um, we hear scenarios all the time of, you know, people having discussions where it's like, I asked you to do this, and the other person says, no, no, you didn't. Well, look, where does it break down? Was the question actually asked? Were they actually asked to do it? Or was it a matter of they were asked to do it and they just didn't hear it because they were busy doing something else and were distracted and weren't being a good receiver? So, good communication can break down at any one of those points, as far as the sender not putting together a good message, the sender not actually sending the message not being clear, or the message being filtered through filters that it shouldn't be filtered through. And when that stuff happens, that's when our divisions happen. That's when misunderstandings happen. That's when fights happen. So, my encouragement to everyone when it comes to communication is to be honest with your communication, one, and two, make sure you're providing good communication and you're communicating a message clearly. That way, if the receiver does end up filtering it, or they misunderstand you, or they have questions about it, they can always ask those questions and we can get past the misunderstandings and the divisions that get created because of misunderstandings. Um, and nowhere is that even more important than when it comes to daily issues. And right now, in all honesty, it's critical when it comes to politics. I mean, we all see things differently. We all have kind of different ideas of how to solve a problem or how this can work or how that can work. Um, but unless we're actually willing to sit down and truly have good communication and honest communication with each other and put these kind of principles into play, we're never going to get to a point where we can come together and say, you know what, we agree that this is a problem. Where we don't agree is necessarily on how to fix it, but how can we come to a how can we come to an amicable solution that makes all of us happy? And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to be able to have good communication coupled with honest communication. And that honestly is truly what these last two episodes have been about. And doing this also on a personal level, it's necessary, it's critical, it's crucial to live life in truth. So, guys, please consider what I'm saying heavily and put that into your thought process and try to implement it into your daily lives. So, I said this was going to be a short episode this week. It is. It's going to be. Right now, I've got a whole lot of things going on. For that, I apologize. But nevertheless, I'm still trying to get information out to you guys. I'm still trying to shoot things straight to you. Um, so if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask those questions on the YouTube live chat, or you can feel free to call in on the phone number that's on your screen right there. Either way, you can get through to us. If you call in, you're probably going to talk to my new producer, Donnie. And if y'all would in the chats, please comment and welcome Donnie to the production team. Really appreciate that if you show my brother some love here. He's got some experience in this field, so we're going to see if we can't take this show up another notch and increase the production value for you guys a little bit. So that's pretty much it for this evening. Do we have any questions yet, Donnie? No, we don't. All right. Well, in that case, we'll go ahead and close it out for tonight. Like I said, it's gonna be a short night. I wanted to keep it simple for you guys, but again, if you guys are enjoying what we're doing and you appreciate what we're trying to do here, then this is going to be the easiest way for you guys to support us if you decide you want to. Just utilize that link right there. You'll get it straight to us. And please make sure to make a note on your donation or your support as to what you want that donation to go to. Obviously, we have this live broadcast and this vlog that we're doing, but we also are filmmakers and film producers. And currently, we have 3 scripts in the works that we're working on. Um, and we're going to be coming down with, the need for having, some donations and some financial support to make all of this work because it's expensive. Doing a show like this can cost some serious money. It obviously costs some serious time. It involves multiple people being involved to make a show go right. And the same thing with film production. It takes a very large crew to do it. As a matter of fact, just recently I had one of my scripts broken down, or did a script breakdown with it, and then had put together a budget to see what it was going to cost to be able to do that feature length film and do it right with some good production value. And the budget came back estimated at 1.8 million. And I'm currently actually in the process of rewriting that script. So obviously, we need some help in order to do some of these programs and stuff. I'll talk more about that stuff later. In a later episode, we'll probably go into a little bit more detail about some of the things that we're working on, some of the projects film-wise that we're doing. But for now, if you guys like what we're doing, if you want to help support our efforts with the live show and with doing the film production stuff, this right here, right there, is going to be the easiest way to do it, guys. So make sure to write that down. Give us some support if you like. Again, make sure you put a note in there as to whether you want it to go for the live show, the vlog, or for our film production work. And we'll make sure that gets to the appropriate accounts and it gets used the way you want it to be used. I'm serious about that. I value my integrity, and if you guys donate for a specific purpose, I want to make sure that your money goes to that purpose. So without any further complications or any further ado, I want to say thank you for tuning in this evening, and we will see you guys next week when we discuss the subject of respect.